It was an early noon in Ponyville. Fluttershy was at the market to buy some food for her animal friends, including Angel, when suddenly she walked into some pony and she immediately apologized for it. And the voice said, "No worries." And she immediately looked at the pony and sees it's a stallion. But this stallion is no pony that she has ever seen before, at least in Ponyville. She apologized once again, and he said, once again though, he said, "No worries." But then he asked her if she is Fluttershy. She said yes, and she asked why she didn't ask him that. Because he then said that he heard about her and that he asked her if it is possible that it's true that she can talk to animals, in which she said yes. Then she asked why he asked about it. He said that he needs her help with his pet dog, Leo. He hasn't been eating much lately for the past day or so, and he's getting worried about him. And for that, Fluttershy gets a little bit worried herself because she cares so much about animals, no matter what kind it is. So she decided to help him. After she had bought the food at the market, they immediately went to his house, but just only short distance away from the market. And sure enough, it was a small dog, maybe 2 years old, on the carpet in the living room. He had a bowl with water and food, but he hasn't even touched any of it, or at least maybe the water. So she get to see that this stallion, but he explained his name was Lightning Bolt, and that he was a bit now getting worried because his pet, not only his best friend, hasn't been eating almost an entire day, and he was so worried about it. So Fluttershy walks up to Leo, start talking to him, and it turned out the reason why he was even eating because he didn't like that particular food. And when she explained this to Lightning Bolt, he immediately felt embarrassed. He explained that he had recently bought a new type of dog food that he had been told might be even better for his friend. So he then decided to throw the old one out and buy the new one out and decided to go back to buy the old one that Leo used to eat. And after that he came back, Leo started immediately to eat the food. Lightning Bolt thanks said that he was grateful for Fluttershy to help him. Because if anyone hasn't even been able to talk to Leo directly, he had no idea what he had would done if he had lost his best friend. Fluttershy smiled and said that she was always happy to help others with if they need any help with their animals, including dogs or any house pets. And then Lightning Bolt actually asked if maybe she wanted to go somewhere, maybe someday to maybe just get to know each other better, maybe go to a cafe or just to at least get to know each other. And Fluttershy was a little bit shy at first, but she said it would it would actually be nice. So before then, she explains where she lives, if he has any other problem with Leo or any other pets that he finds. So in Lightning Bolt says a goodbye. Even though despite this, their first meeting, Fluttershy could not even couldn't get Lightning Bolt out of her mind. For some reason, he was very kind. She could actually see how much that Leo was so care about Lightning Bolt. Lightning Bolt explained that he didn't only see Leo as his pet, but also as his best friend of all. And a couple of days later, though, when Fluttershy was run in town just for a walk after she spent some time with Twilight and Rarity at the castle, she ran into Lightning Bolt, but this time she didn't walk into him. For goodness for that. She actually saw him in the distance, and he waved to her and asked how she had been for the past few days, and she explained that she has been busy, but she has been feeling okay. Then he asked her if she maybe want to go to this cafe that he to maybe get to know each other better. And when she said yes, so they actually went to this cafe that was only close by, and there they started talking. And it turned out that Lightning Bolt was in fact from Baltimore. He had recently moved to Ponyville that since he wanted to have a better, more calmer environment for his friend, and since this a big city itself was too big for him to be handled, and ever since Lightning Bolt used was a colt, he grew up in the countryside with either with a cat or a dog when he was very young. But since he was in teenage years, he and his family moved to Baltimore for a better opportunity, for better education for his son. And as after he finished his school times, he wanted he wanted to pursue something else in his life. But he didn't know exactly what to do. But since after he got Leo, he wanted to go back to the countryside. He remembers his time when he was young, but when he heard about Ponyville, it's a small town in the countryside, not as far away from Elise Canterlot. So he looked it up, and he looked he read as much about the town he could from books, and even talked to the ponies who either been there or even heard about it, and if they would recommend anyone to live there. So everyone he explained how they met said yes. So he decided to move to Ponyville from the big city to a small town. And he made the good choice because as he was growing up on the countryside was his as a colt, as a young pony dog. He loved it. And ponies in town has been so generous, they have been so kind to him. Even despite that he was expecting maybe some ponies more tried maybe avoid new ponies. But he did mention, though, that it was a pony who threw a party to celebrate that he had moved. And Fluttershy smiled and laughed and said, "That is Pinkie Pie. She's a friend of mine. She always do that for every pony. Always to celebrate for her, get the cutie marks, or the birthdays, or any pony who moves to town." "That explains all of it," said Lightning Bolt with a laugh. "She's a little bit erratic personality. She is fun though, but she is a bit hyperactive." Yeah, better to say it, like Paul said. But he actually said that he had a great time at this party though. He got to meet new friends, and he actually has started loving this town more and more for each single day that he has stayed here. But despite this, there are a lot of things about he missed about his old life, like when he was young. But he had actually started loving to live in this particular town even more. Then Fluttershy asked if he had any special sound pony back home, but he said no. After he finished his finished school, he decided to try to work on his career as carpenter. But unfortunately, there weren't much any opportunity work available for him to be as a carpenter. So he had to do some random part-time jobs around the town to be able to pay his rents and like that. But when he heard about Ponyville, he decided why not to move there since he missed to live in the more countryside. And since he moved to Ponyville, he was actually trying to find a work that he might suitable for him, since he had carpenter a degree from school and had some experience in it. And that he found out that there were in fact a small carpenter store in town. So he applied for the work, and they actually did hire him immediately, which he was grateful to do. Now he has only not only been living in the countryside, living with his best friend Leo, but at the same time, he had his dream job that he could support himself. And now that he had fulfilled almost anything he's wanted, he wanted to try to reach out to this dating world again. He used to date when he was in school, but it wasn't much serious though. But now he was looking for perhaps a long-term relationship, and because even one day we get married. Even though Fluttershy said he might find some pony that when he could at least expect it. Both of them actually enjoyed the rest of their time at this cafe and went separate ways. And even for the next couple of days, Lightning Bolt actually had been told about this speed dating location, which he went there, and he was actually matched with a mare. And this mare was in fact very beautiful, as in his mind, and they started enjoying the time. Even though, but there was something about Fluttershy that Lightning Bolt couldn't even get his mind off. She was very beautiful. She was very kind, generous, but something about her, even though that she's very shy, but that makes her more. It was something that he can even explain it, but her shyness was some very mysteriously, especially when she had the ability to talk to animals. That did surprise him. And he was actually now, even though he had a girlfriend at the time, he tried to focus and try to maintain its best hope. He went on several dates with her, but after nearly 3 months of dating her, something did happen. She decided that she didn't want to date him anymore. She said that she wasn't even looking for a long-term serious relationship. She was just only been dating to be more experienced, and maybe one day she might be able to be settled down, but not at this moment. That devastated him though. He had hoped that maybe she could have been the one that he would be with. But unfortunately, Lightning Bolt was devastated. He had believed that this mare might have been the one that he would end up with settled down with. But only about a couple of days after that, they broke up. Lightning Bolt was sitting at the park by himself. Of course, he had Leo with him, but he was not even looking happy when suddenly he heard a voice, and it was in fact Fluttershy. She was a bit surprised to see him in the park alone, and well, even he had Leo with him. She asked him how things has been, but he said that not so well lately, and she asked why, and he explained what happened. She was a little bit sad to hear that his current or his recent relationship didn't last long. Even though despite they had only known each other for at least a couple of months, he decided to ask if she perhaps would go out with him on a date. Even though that she probably would say no when he expected, but she in fact said yes. That did surprise him a bit, but they decided to go to the comedy club that was in town, and it was a good start for their first date. Even though, even though that Lightning Bolt didn't even know if this relationship was possible, because he didn't want to force Fluttershy into a serious relationship. Even though he didn't know exactly if there's going to be if there be more dates afterwards. But he wanted to see if it could work, if this was some sort of spark between them. But at this comic club, he had made the great choice, because even during their first date, they had such a great time. They laughed about this performance, this comedy's performance, and even though they had such a great time, Fluttershy could not have been happier to be with someone like Lightning Bolt. Even afterwards, the time was about still around 5 p.m. So Lightning Bolt was getting hungry, and he asked if Fluttershy wanted to go to go somewhere to maybe grab something to eat. And she said yes, even though she was also hungry. So they went to this restaurant nearby and they had some good dinner, some pasta with tables, and they talked about this different performance at this comedy club. And in fact, both actually agreed it was a lot of fun. Then Lightning Bolt asked if maybe she wanted to go out with him again, which she said yes. So for the next couple of weeks, they actually went on different dates. Sometimes they went on a picnic, or having a romantic dinner at his place, or having going out for romantic dinner. But then, something did happen that is something they didn't expect. Lightning Bolt's previous ex-girlfriend that had recently broke up with him several months ago came back. She thought maybe that she was not ready to be in a serious relationship and wanted to try once again with Lightning Bolt. But when he told her that he was now already in a relationship, that really surprised her. But she tried to convince him maybe it was giving her a second chance. But he shook his head and said no, he has already written some pony that he loves more than anything. And he even mentioned that she might even be the pony that he had been hoping to settle down with. She is surprised even that as well, because he said about the same thing about her and not about them. But he said, well, he don't give that a lot of thought. And in his mind, it feels like they were the right match. He tried to convince her though, but she was not hearing about it. She tried to at least convince him once given the second chance, but he said no. But he said that he had a friend from Baltimore who was actually looking for a serious girlfriend, and he actually has presented a photo of her and him while they were dating to his friend, just to see to sharing him the news that he had perhaps found some pony. And she, like the Bolt, did mention that his friend actually thought she was very beautiful, and she asked about if he had any picture of his friend, which he did. He showed a picture with him and Lightning Bolt together, and she immediately said that he looked very handsome. And even though that she lives in Ponyville and that Stallion lives in Baltimore, but he said, if you want to be with some pony like him, give it a try. Long distance relationship sometimes doesn't even work, but give it a chance. I'm sure he would do it. So his ex-girlfriend tried to decide to try at least that. So she reached out to him, asked him about this, and sure enough, they both start dating, and within a few months, she actually moved to Baltimore to be with him. Around the same time, Lightning Bolt was really happy to have found at least Fluttershy. Even though that her family was also been aware about her dating, she was in fact had been requested by his parents to if that he could come over for a visit. But Fluttershy mentioned that he would, but there was just one small problem. He was in fact an earth pony, and that would have been a little bit hard for him. He would not even stand on the clouds without being falling down, which their family would understand, so they decided to go to her cottage. And they did. Even though despite the Lightning Bolt wasn't even that nervous at all to meet her family for the very first time. But Fluttershy was nervous. But he was very not even had been worried because both her parents actually loved him. They both saw how well behaved he was, and even though he tried to make some good jokes, but even though they laughed about his bad jokes, but even Fluttershy's mom did express that she liked him, and perhaps even one day they perhaps even get married if it lasts that long. She was really surprised that her parents actually liked her, but considered how much they both loved each other. Even sometimes after that, after Lightning Bolt's first meeting with Fluttershy's parents, he decided maybe it was about to meet that she could see that Fluttershy could meet his parents. And that made him a little bit nervous because his parents could be sometimes a bit questionable, meaning that they would ask a lot of questions. But even though when he met Fluttershy, they also asked him some questions, but not repeatedly, but they asked him some like questions, well, what like to do, where he's from, and what he's doing for living. When they took the train to Baltimore, Fluttershy was a bit nervous though, but after she met his parents, she immediately started liking him more, despite they asked her a lot of questions. But they loved her as well. But there were some questions that her Lightning Bolt's dad had asked Fluttershy, like if they would get married, if they would have a big family, like as many children as possible. But Lightning Bolt and Fluttershy said if they would get married and have family of their own, they probably would have just perhaps only to have maybe as one or two children. Even if they will only would end up with just one child, which they both would perfectly agreed on to be perfect enough for them. Even though Fluttershy was loved by his family, and especially during Heart's Warming Eve, when it was time for this big holiday. It was originally planned to celebrate with Fluttershy's family, but since her parents was going to meet Haddon to spend some time with some other relatives. So Fluttershy was asked by Lightning Bolt if they could go to see his family and celebrate with them. And she didn't mind that. And it was actually a good time. Even to celebrating this big holiday in a big city with her boyfriend's family was actually something unusual. But despite they had been knowing each other for only about less than a year, Lightning Bolt had told his parents that he had been thinking about maybe taking the next step, and both asked about what kind of next step, and that he meant engagement. His mom was really surprised that her eyes was just like sparkle light. She was so excited about this, but they both promised not to tell Fluttershy. He wanted to keep this a secret. And even though on the New Year's Eve, but they were still there in Baltimore, he actually proposed to her, and she said yes. But they both agreed to wait maybe another 2 or 3 years to get married because since they had only been dating for about less than about a year. Even despite they decided to wait for maybe as 2 to 3 years. But the next 3 years fly fast by them. It's like the next moment they were in Baltimore and the next moment it has only been 3 years. Both agreed it was time just flies so fast by them. But after that they had decided it was time to get married. So they immediately told their families and friends that they were decided to put a date on the wedding. So they decided to invite all their families, even close friends, to be held at Sweet Apple Acres, since that farm was at least big enough to hold both families. And even when Lightning Bolt was standing by Zephyr Breeze as his best man, when he saw Fluttershy in her wedding dress, he was smacked in the face, like not literally, but it's something that was like hit him in the face, and he thought she was the most beautiful mare that he ever seen. He had actually even invited his best friend and his ex-girlfriend, which by that point was in fact his best friend's wife. And both actually was very happy to see that Lightning Bolt had found his true mare, the true love. Even after the party itself, the ceremony, every pony had a great time. Both families could see how happy they were together. They were such in love, and especially when there was time for them both to go to their honeymoon. They actually went to a tropical island for a whole week, and both had such a great time. Swimming in the ocean, flying, just exploring the island, just having such a great time. And both was really happy to have ended a new chapter in their lives. But then, just barely after 4 years of being married, Lightning, Lightning Bolt was told he was going to be a father. When Fluttershy told him that, though, he fainted because of the big shocking this surprise. But he was not more than excited to be a father, at least for once. And when they told both families and their friends, they were all equally surprised but feeling overjoyed. They really couldn't wait, but especially when Fluttershy revealed they were expecting a daughter, and they immediately decided to talk about a name for their daughter, and they had picked the perfect name. And then the day came when a daughter was born. They named their daughter Ocean Skies. As a filly, she loved to help around at the cottage with her mom with the animal friends, and even at age 5, she discovered she had the ability to talk to animals like her mom. And when she told her parents about this, they were actually very surprised. But her mom was crying in a bill that her daughter could also talk to animals. Even as at a young age, she wanted to be a veterinarian to help animals. Sometimes when she was about 10 to 12, she usually sometimes helped Dr. Fauna at the vet clinic about to help take care of some of the animals. And that had actually sparked her interest to be a veterinarian. So she decided to go to a veterinary school in Manhattan when she was old enough. But during her time still when she lived in Pullman, she always helped around with the animals, but she was unlike her mother, since her mother could have been very shy around new ponies. But Ocean Skies, she was the complete opposite. She was really outspoken. She didn't have any problems making new friends or talk to strangers or at least new ponies to meeting. She loved that. And when she was about 18 to 19, she decided to apply for this veterinarian school in Manhattan, and she was accepted. During her studies, she missed her family, but she did continue to focus on her studies to be a veterinarian. And when she had become as a veterinarian, she moved back to Ponyville and started working with Dr. Fauna as her assistant. And when Dr. Fauna had decided to retire, she had decided to let Ocean Skies to take over the clinic for her. And she didn't mind that because during her time with when Dr. Fauna was teaching her, she taught her a lot more about how to be a veterinarian, and it was perfect thing. So, but a lot of things about for Ocean Skies. During her time working as a veterinarian, she met a lot of new ponies from town, new animals like cats, dogs, and sometimes she had even go to Sweet Apple Acres to help them with the animals there, like cows or pigs, things like that. But during one time was where she ran into a stallion, who turned out to be a musician, who is in fact is lived in Puno, and they immediately sparked an interest. And they started dating, and after about 4 years of been dating, they actually got married. And they had and later had two daughters of their own. Even after that, Lightning Bolt got married with Fluttershy. He only back before then he knew she was in fact his true soulmate. He couldn't even had asked for a better wife, as for Fluttershy. And even for Fluttershy though, because she was hadn't been dating any pony before Lightning Bolt came to her life. She was very shy to even dating at all. But she was actually very at least happy to giving him a chance to be dating. After all, he was very kind to her and generous. If she had even had accepted his invitation of dating, she would have missed out this true happiness and this such much joy with him. And especially not have been able to meet their future daughter Ocean Skies. Even if that felt for like Lightning, he was actually happy that he had decided to move to Ponyville those years ago. If he had even moved to Ponyville, he would never have met his future soulmate, Fluttershy, and had missed out so much joy and happiness. And this is how Fluttershy and Lightning Bolt are the true love and got a family together. The end.